Hi everyone, I am Jennifer Campbell, creator and host of the Systemic Leadership Summit. A very warm welcome to you to the SLS 2022 kickoff. And as attendees are signing in to this Zoom session, a very warm welcome to you, to all of you who are already here, but also to everyone who will be watching the recording later this summit. I am really excited and thrilled to have you here as participants in the SLS 2020. And what's important to mention is that in this kickoff, it's actually twofold. One is I'm going to be introducing the summit to you. We'll go over some of what is the content of this summit, and also what are some practicalities for you to make the most of your summit experience. So a lot of things in there. The second part of this kickoff is actually the presentation that I have ready and waiting for you on the value of systemic leadership. And what's also important is it is a presentation of the Systemic Change Leadership Framework, which is the backbone or the structure of this summit. Now, as you have seen on the website, this summit is value packed. There are so many different speakers with so many different approaches. So you are in for a huge ride, a huge experience when it comes to the systemic leadership change and many other things. So some of you are returning attendees. Welcome again. Thank you so much for joining again. And some of you are joining for the first time. And yes, so let me introduce myself. I'm not only the founder, creator, and host of the Systemic Leadership Summit, but from my business, I work systemically, obviously, as a change manager, as a leadership coach, and as a systemic team coach. So I wear a lot of hats. And over the years, actually 5.5 years ago, I came up with the idea to what is now the SLS, the Systemic Leadership Summit. I realized that there's so many systemic approaches, and I think that with the big problems we see in the world, that we need a different type of leadership. And so that's how I came up with leadership that's more systems oriented or systems thinking oriented. And so systemic leadership to me means that it's a role that belongs to a system, even if it's difficult to isolate a system, such as a team or an organization, because it's always part of yet a bigger system that is more complex. But just like communication, leadership resides within a system, and it's very important that that we have an understanding that this type of leadership is so much different than what we've had in the more traditional sense of control-based leadership or linear leadership. Someone called a leader leading people from A to B, that's different than the more systems-oriented type of leadership. Now, you'll have a chance this week and a half to learn more and create your own view or collective of views of what you think systemic leadership brings to the table. Now, let's see. We have a number of participants here. In this kickoff session, we do not have a chat. What we do have is a Q&A box. So if there's anything within the frame of what I'm sharing today that you want to ask questions about, then please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box, and I'll be able to answer them as soon as I round up a topic. What I'd like to say beforehand is if you have any technical questions in terms of, for example, logging into our membership area or things like that, then you can send an email to info@jennifercampbell.com, what you can also do is um, really look at what I cover here in the kickoff session, because we're going over the practical side as well. So let me see where to start. I'm going to share my screen. It's not necessarily a PowerPoint presentation. I love to show things as they are. So I'm going to share with you the Summit page and also the membership area, so that you have much more of an understanding of what the SLS actually is and what we'll be covering in the upcoming 10 days. Let me share my screen. I hope this is visible for anyone. If you could confirm in the chat, in the Q&A, that would be great. But otherwise, I think this is visible for everyone. So here we have the Summit website. This is where it started for everyone. And the Systemic Leadership Summit, the main theme for this summit is when in doubt, zoom out. And I chose this theme this year because I think it's important that with all the global shifts that are going on, there's a lot of focus on the current pandemic, for example, but also on climate change, these huge problems that we face as humanity, to really make it a big thing, is that what I noticed in all the discussions is that many people and leaders in particular get a lot of tunnel vision, and I would like to invite them to zoom out more, to look at the bigger picture, to build muscle on having a wider scope, a wider view of what's actually going on in our economies, in politics, in climate, in healthcare, and so forth. And so I think that's one of the things that I learned while speaking with all these amazing speakers in this summit. And so that's why that's the main theme for this year. Now, what is important to mention is that this year, this is the 6th edition of this summit. We've had 5 before, and we've had so many different requests. I read so many different emails. Jennifer, could you share some of the sessions again? Because my mind was just blown away by the ones in one session, but I now learned that there are more. So this year I decided to share all previous sessions with you and some new ones as well. And so the reason here is, again, what I said, is that the co-creation of a paradigm shift is something that from my company I would like to contribute to, and this is one way of doing that. So we're offering you over 100 expert sessions, conversations, interviews that I've had with people like Peter Senji, whose trailer is here, but many others, like, for example, Dave Snowden or Nora Bateson, Arawana Hayashi, and Jakob Stam. There's so many people in here, and I'm sure that you already saw some of your favorite ones, and maybe also some that are less familiar to you. We've had over 6,500 people from 98 countries join in the past 5 years, and I'm sure that we'll add many people to that this year. Now, again, here's the summit structure, and after this kickoff, you'll be able to go to the membership area where I explain a little more about the systemic leadership viewpoint that I have, and I call it the Systemic Change Leadership Framework or Journey. And it consists of 3 steps. And this is an overall structure that is the backbone of this summit. but also an invitation to look at it. Now, this is my lens. You may want to structure it differently, but it's just an offer where you see that many systemic approaches that we talk about in the summit are about using systems thinking or systemic phenomenological work to look at organizations, to look at societies, to look at teams, to look at communities, and see what are the underlying patterns of relationship within these different living human systems, as we call them, and what could be your different approaches to actually see it well, and to also see what the problems that it's currently encountering, what they are. So, and share the space is about the generative interaction, and there are also many approaches that are about that, about sense making, about meaning making, about dealing with conflicts within systems, with communication, the role of communication, about the role of asking questions and what are systemic questions, and systemic inquiry and what is not systemic inquiry. And the third one is shape the shift. This is about the innovation, about creating the thriving organization where there is a lot of space for self-organization, but within a strong structure, and also what to do with the anticipation of the future. So these are the 3 steps that you'll see in the schedule, which I will share with you in a minute. So again, I don't know if you had an opportunity to scroll through this, but there are many, 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 many speakers. Tomorrow, in the first session after this introductory and kickoff day, we're going to have Fritjof Capra, who sets an amazing frame about systems thinking and about a systemic view of life. And then during the week, you'll be hearing from all of these amazing experts and wise individuals. What's also important to know is that some of them will have more than one session, so you'll be able to go in depth even more with them, and others have only one. We also have dual speakers. And for example, Kate Raworth and Carlotta Sense, they are one of the new additions to this summit, and I'll be adding more of them as soon as the interviews are completed. Now, the summit sessions, I think I'm going to show them to you in the schedule so that you can see. But this is where you signed up. And when you signed up, you had an opportunity to join this summit in 3 different ways. And let me just show them to you again. So some people have been able to join live. This means when you join live, when you bought a live ticket, you'll have that window of opportunity to watch as many sessions as you wish, please, or can find the time and energy for. And they will be available 72 hours after the start time. So, for example, so tomorrow, along with Fritjof Capra, there will be many other sessions, I think 6 or 7, that will open at 9 a.m. Central European Time or Amsterdam time. And from that time, they will be available for all of the attendees across the globe for 72 hours. So there's no need to rush, because you'll have 3 full days to join them. Now, what you also have is access to the online community space in LinkedIn. It has been with us for at least the past 3 summits, where all of you have an opportunity to interact. I'm also going to be there there will be many more people in that online community space than attendees in this summit, because everyone has been joining. But you can still interact with each other, what you're learning, what you're seeing. And what I will do is put up some space per day for you to put your learning or your questions or your comments or remarks or anything that's related to the summit sessions that you saw that you want to share in there. So just to quickly show that before we go back. If you're on LinkedIn, this is what the group looks like. And I have 3 requests to join. I'm not going to do that now. I'll do that after the kickoff. But here I already have a welcome message to you. Please, when you want to join, just ping me in LinkedIn. And in the welcome email that you received when you signed up, you can find my profile. You can also see my name here. And just ping me and I will let you into the group. I also shared the direct link to the group. You can also put a request to join there, and I'll make sure that you'll be able to go in. Please, when you join, read the About This Group section. You can expand the information here. There are some rules we have around this group, and it would be really great if you could read those before you join in and participate in the group activity. Okay, so let me go back to where I was. The second way of participating this year is the All Access ticket, and with that ticket, you will not only have access just like the live participants, but you will have access to all the recordings, and you can also have access to the audio for an entire year. So a full year, you can take much more time to take in the sessions, so there's no rush. And they will become available to you during the week. And by the 25th of January, you will have prolonged access. So then you can just log in and watch whatever you like. And the final way of participating is the VIP ticket. And with the VIP ticket, it allows you for the deepest experience, actually. And in addition to everything that you heard so far, you will also have an additional year access. So you'll have 2 years access to all the sessions. And you'll be able to download both the MP3s and the transcripts. Now, over the years, what I've noticed is that many people really appreciate these because they want to listen to the MP3s in the car, or they want to, reading is just a better way for them to access information, and this may also be the case for you. So with a VIP, you can join in this week, you can watch everything during 2 years, and you can also have downloadable materials. Now, the downloadable materials will also be made available as of the 25th of January, when the live sessions are almost over. All right, so that is about participation, ways of participating today. Now, if you purchased one ticket and you'd like to join and upgrade to another ticket, you can always do that once you log in. Let me just show you how you can do that. I have another account here, and this is the sign-in address that I included in probably the welcome email, because we are working with Virtual Summits as a software, and it allows you to easily access all the sessions. You don't need to juggle with all kinds of emails and links. Everything is together in one space. But web.virtualsummits.com/sign-in. And when you sign in, so let me just do that here. then depending on your ticket, you will see different things. But what is universal for all of you is that when you sign in, you click on Registered Summits. Because I'm speaking today, I'm also registered as a speaking engagement. This is also speaking engagement for me. But Registered Summits, and then you click on the Systemic Leadership Summit. When you do, you enter the membership area, and the first thing you see is the schedule. So this is the default page. When you enter the membership area, you automatically end up in the schedule. And you can see what are the sessions that are on for a particular day. Now today, as you can see, we have 2 sessions. We're in this live kickoff right now. And like I mentioned earlier, also the Systemic Change Leadership Framework. Now, these sessions are going to be available during the entire week, because the rest of the week, there will also people who will be signing up a little later, and they will have the opportunity to watch this live kickoff as soon as I have uploaded the recording in the space. And just like you, will be able to join the Systemic Change Leadership Framework session. Now, how do you view a session once it's open, by the way? This one's open, so you can just click on it, and then you go to the session space. Here you can read a little more about the speaker. Here's the session, and what's also very important for this session is that I have included the Systemic Change Leadership Journey Framework, and this is a button where you can claim it, where you can download it. So if you like to have this at hand after watching this session, and it works well for you, then you can just say, okay, I'm going to download my own copy, and you can click on this button. So it's really easy. Let me just go back. When you want to watch a session, as soon as it's open, here it says the opening time, then you click on the session, and you go to its page, and then you can click play, and then you'll have access to it. Now, what's going on tomorrow? As you can see here, tomorrow is day 2, and here you see the first phase in the Systemic Change Leadership Journey called See the System. Remember, that was on the main summit page as I showed you. Now, within See the System, there are 3 steps. So tomorrow, there are a lot of sessions that cover an organizational approach to, or the organization approach from a systemic perspective. So here we have Fitch of Capra, for example. I mentioned Arowana Hayashi. I have Dr. William Tate in there. He has such an amazing metaphor for the systemic view on organizations and on why systemic leadership is so important. Jan Jacob Stam is here, Nomi Nathan about the power of constellations, organic system framework. This is Baryashi's work presented by Phil Cady. Visual strategies on why and how visualization. This is about system-centered training with Ray Haddock, also very interesting theory of living human systems. Catherine Long with the inner and outer flows in the embodied experience of systems. And we have Ben Taylor, who talks about what is his own journey of becoming a systems thinker. Now, I'm not going to read all the days, but I just wanted you to see as an example how this works. And when you're in the membership area, you can select bookmark presentations. See the little booklet behind? If you hover over it, it even tells you. And what's interesting about that is when you bookmark sessions, when you click on the bookmarks, it shows you all the sessions that you have marked. And so if there's anything that in particular you do not want to miss. You can just create your own itinerary in this summit week, so you have a unique experience. Now, when I go to the second day, as you'll see, in step 2 is about change identification in the See the System phase in the framework. And so we have Dave Snowden, Joan Lurie, Philip Bayeur about trauma and organizations. So really about what's going on in systems and how do we deal with our orientation on change within that. Day 4, we have specifically about the leadership paradigm, step 3. And then we have Peter Senge, Peter Hawkins, Edgar Schein, for example, Margaret Wheatley, Anthony Howard, Nora Bateson. So many different people talk about the leadership approach. Day 5, we're going to talk about the role of change communication, and we've landed in Share the Space. So the Share the Space is the second phase in the framework. This is step number 4 in that. And so many people talk about relationship, about challenges, about the role of story, relatedness also. There are some side steps also to how do we communicate with our customers as a voice of the system, and systemic fieldwork in the present, also one of the very nice sessions in there. So this is very much about change communication. Day 6, step 5, we talked about what I call collective intelligence, and we have Dave Snowden and Nora Bateson talk about sense-making and warm data, a very intriguing session. We have Catherine Tyler Scott talk about what do we do when there's a lot of anxiety in the system, when people are very anxious, and what does that mean for your role in terms of systemic leadership. But also deep democracy, or what is collective intelligence? How can we have generative conversations? This is also very exciting. Personally, I thought this was very exciting. Not too many words in that session, but profound interaction, if you ask me. Or Arawana Hayashi talking about embodied intelligence and how to lead from that. We have Brian Rivera with the flow system. Sarah Carnally talks about systems intelligence. And there's Max with deep democracy, and Deborah with still moving. So jam-packed day 6 also. Day 7, let's move on to day 7, is all about how do we deal with difference and with conflict in our systems. So this is the last step in the Share the Space in the framework. I call it difference integration. And here we have Myrna Lewis with the Lewis method of how to deal with potential of conflict. We have Dr. Susan Gant explaining how can you deal with teams who are dealing with difference or are in conflict, and how can you solve that in a systemic way. What do we do with when people deviate from the norm or have different results or better results, for example, in an organization, because they do things differently with the same information as everyone else. So that's the positive deviant performance, very interesting. But also things like nonviolent communication or sense of belonging, or how do we deal with human systems dynamics, for example, with Glenda Ouyang from the HSD Institute. And also someone from business, Pilar, talking about how to deal with diversity and inclusion beyond the numbers and have a very different approach to those type of very important topics. Day 8, let's move on. Day 8, we land in the Shape the Shift, where we talk about self-organization. And I was so delighted to talk to Brian Robertson about holacracy and does it work? Does it not work? What does it mean? Uh, can we handle self-organization as people who, are very used to more top-down or linear structuring of our organizations? I see some with a question. I'll get to your question in a second. I will just finish the schedule before I continue and answer. So we have Alexander Laszlo, for example, about thrivability and about being the systems you want to see in the world. It's amazing talking to someone like him with a lot of humor also. Kathleen Allen, Leading from the Roots, is about the comparison. It's really about biomimicry. So learning from nature and mimicking nature also in the way we design our systems. Patrick Overstadt with the Viable Systems Model, getting teams done, and the action part of holacracy, but also building tribes or how to shape complex adaptive systems. Meta Bill talks about shape-shifting education, so that is very much about systemic awareness within the bigger system of education and how she and some others are working on that. And many, many other sessions also about self-organization and when do we need leadership and when not, or when is it purpose-led and when not, or how do we lead in a situation. This is a very nice case study by Monica Velarde-Lazarte, and some application by Catherine Long. So that's day 8. Day 9, I'm almost at the end. We talk about innovation and emergent innovation. So that's the one before last step in the framework, where we talk about ecology, about when are systems still healthy and growing, when do they mature, and when is it no longer healthy to focus on, for example, profit all the time. When do systems corrupt? What happens? And so this growth curve, I talked to Dr. Peter Robinson about that. Very nice conversation. Or Wendy Mahoney about innovation and why it's human. We also talk about the technical side and digitalization with Christian Krama. Or what does it mean to have an evolutionary purpose in your organization? Warm data labs, potential, inclusion, regenerative and ecosystemic leadership here, and also social acupuncture with Ori Gallo. Very interesting conversation also about innovation and creating new things and new systems. And day 10 is the last one, the last day, where we talk about the donut economy. So why is it important to have a different outlook on how we shape economies, how we think about economies? And so very nice conversation that I share in this summit with you. Leading from the Emergent Future with Martin Galungu-Banda. He also talks about his own experiences with Theory U, and also his own leadership in serving presidents. So very interesting. Louis Klein talks about stewardship and how to build or rebuild societies. Very intriguing, and I love this conversation with John Renish about shifting consciousness and about what are the bigger shifts that we foresee in the world, and he shares his view on it. So a lot of others also about making a shift, anticipating on what are the next things on the horizon and how can we use systems thinking approaches to work with that. And last but not least, nominating, also dealing with endings. When are systems done? When is their purpose reached? And do we then actually stop with our systems work? So that's the schedule for the whole week. I sent the schedule to all of you in an email today. But now that you know, when you log in, it is the first thing that you see, because that is also the way to access the sessions. Now I see a question. Let me just have a look. Here it says that my screen doesn't show what I'm talking about. Okay, so let me stop sharing and reshare my screen. Thank you for the remark. So can you see my screen now? So anyone, thank you so much for your question. Hannes, thank you so much for your question. I hope you can see this now. So I covered all the different days in the membership area. So when you log in with the membership area. Okay, you can see it now. Thank you so much. We'll have to see what I can do in the recording, but this is where you can find all information. What's also interesting to say is that some sessions have a description, others have a trailer video, and both inform you about what the session is about. And so again, if you missed it in the visuals, you can look at a session. So for example, these sessions will open up the 19th, so that is upcoming Wednesday, 9 a.m. That's all Central European time or Amsterdam time. And they'll be open for 72 hours on your live ticket. If you have an all access or a VIP, you'll be able to access them for much longer. And when you bookmark sessions, as you can see here, you can bookmark any presentation. And then as soon as you go in on a particular day, all bookmarked sessions will show in your list. See, all the blue marked will be in there. All right. I think that I can continue. So I talked about what the summit is about, how you can participate, different ways of participating, my view on systemic leadership, the short version. After this, you'll have an opportunity to log in and look at the systemic change leadership framework and my explanation of that, which is, again, the backbone of this. I also talked to you about the summit schedule, how you can access everything, and yeah, how you can create your own itinerary by bookmarking sessions that you do not want to miss. Now, it's also important to know that if, for example, you have a live ticket and you wish to upgrade, you can also always go to the top right. When you click on there and you click on upgrade, it will show you which options are still open. Now, on this account, I have an all access pass, so I'm still able to select one of the other plans in here. Now, live does not make sense, but upgrade to VIP would make sense. So I can just select it, and as you see, it will deduct what you already paid. So the all access is $197. If I want to upgrade to VIP, you can do so by an additional $100, and then you're all set. So if you have a live ticket, and by the end of the week or during the week you feel like upgrading to all access, for example, you can also do that. Now let me see. I shared a lot with you so far. I just want to see if you have any questions. In the chat, I don't see any, so please feel free to type your question in the chat because I want to make sure that you know your way around. Again, if it's a technical question, please keep those for the email. So send me an email, info@jennifercampbell.com, and my team will find it and help you as soon as they can. So yeah, one more thing I want to share with you while I wait to see if there's an additional question is that every day you will receive a reminder email. And in the reminder email, there's no schedule. It's just a reminder. Don't forget to log in so you can join the sessions. And again, if you want to interact with people, you can do so in the LinkedIn community space. It's a space where we share learnings, we share ideas. It's not for anything that you wish to promote in terms of events or your own things that you may be offering to clients or potential clients. So it's really a space for learning and interacting around the summit sessions. There's plenty to interact about. So yeah, I hope you want to honor that also. I don't see any additional questions. Yeah, so I think I shared everything with you. I'm just checking my list. No. So I think that you should all be all set in your participation. So next, after this, please go to the membership area, log in, and look at my next session for today. It's ready and waiting for you there. It's available, where I talk about the systemic change leadership journey. And so for now, I want to say thank you so much for being part of this kickoff session, for participating. I hope you have a wonderful Systemic Leadership Summit 2022 experience. Thank you so much for watching, and see you during the week online, in the community, or in the email. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.